Greetings, my people and others. Today is still Wednesday, June 24th, 2026. The time is 4:13 p.m. or 4:13 p.m. And I titled this one. What did I title this one? Trump pouts again as usual and refuses to sign housing bill. And as I was writing pouts out, I realized you can't spell POTUS without pouts. And that's ultimately what he is. He's just outside of being Dookie Dunny with the swollen ankles or swollen cankles. He's just the ultimate man baby. Because whenever he's like the ultimate toddler surrounded by a bunch of daycare workers that coddle him and gives him his way. So what am I referring to? And I was just checking this out about a couple of hours ago, and this is called. Hang on one second. Let me get to the notes. This is called the Road to Housing Act, which would essentially make things more affordable. The Road to Housing Act, and it was a bipartisan bill that was passed. But no, as we have it in Dookie fashion, because he's pushing this dire need, and he's pushing that the sky is falling about the SAVE Act, and he always talks about voters fraud. Oh, we have so much corruption. Meanwhile, he is the corruption. Oh, we have so much corruption. There's so much corruption, corruption, corruption. And he wants to impress upon your mind, because what have I been saying? Images are advertisements for the mind. So as long as he can push out here that there's doom and gloom and there's always corruption, then it's always somebody. It's always the Democrats. When he's talking about the reflecting pool or the reflection pool, it's somebody else. And meanwhile, I want to play you something. And I have this where I call it Meanwhile in Mega News. And let me play you this right here, because this is the main reason why he's pouting.
Breaking news tied to President Trump's push to give himself more control over America's elections. Federal judge has just blocked.
Now, mind you, this is exactly what it's about. It's about control over America's elections, right? Let's continue.
Pieces of Trump's 2025 executive order on elections, specifically banning Trump from requiring people to show proof of citizenship in order to vote. MS Now senior legal reporter Lisa Rubin is here. Tim O'Brien is still with us. The judge, Lisa, says this is a separation of powers issue. Tell us more.
Well, Lisa, under the Constitution, most control over elections is given to the states. And part of what the president was trying to do here through this executive order was commandeer for himself the right to decide how elections are administered in states.
He wants the right to decide how elections go. This is the whole thing, what the SAVE Act is about, people. It isn't the sky is falling. It isn't about illegals. It isn't about election or voters fraud. It's made up. But let's continue.
That previously had granted a preliminary injunction or a block on most of the provisions that were challenged here. But here, she's now making it more permanent and saying that what Trump has tried to do through this executive order doesn't just pose a separation of challenge problem. It's unlawful under existing federal law that protects, for example, people who live overseas and are part of our military. It is inconsistent with aspects of the law that protect their right to vote. One of the reasons why is because it authorized the Attorney General to prosecute states that were counting ballots received after Election Day, even if they were postmarked by or before Election Day. That's an issue that's live right now before the Supreme Court, right? But Trump was also trying to take matters into his own hands, and through this executive order, direct the Attorney General to actually commence prosecutions of states that have this as part of their policy. 13 states that allow this were among the plaintiffs who sued against this executive order to try and block its enforcement. So today, the chief judge of a federal court in Massachusetts saying in a 59-page ruling, you may not do this. You may not take for yourself the right to decide how elections are administered in this country and say
you can't take it upon yourself to determine how elections are administered or how they go. But you can't tell him that. Keep going.
the national voter registration form or the postcard used for military members to register, that they have to include documentary proof of citizenship before we will allow you to vote.
So what happens next?
I think the preliminary injunction that was already issued is on appeal, but that argument is not even scheduled until after the election. So today's ruling doesn't change the state of play necessarily going into the November election, but this is kind of a Tetris piece that is moving with respect to other things. I just mentioned that Supreme Court case, the Watson case, in which the whole question is whether or not allowing the counting after Election Day interferes with another federal law that defines Election Day as a particular Tuesday in November. So you've got, I think, this particular case will continue to move in ways that don't impact the election. But the larger and broader issue about do states have to turn over voter rolls so that the national government can determine whether somebody is a citizen, or can we count particular ballots after Election Day, even if they're voted before, those issues remain very live in related litigation and in related policies.
I was about to say, they remain alive in the litigation. They remain alive on Capitol Hill right now, where the president was willing to torpedo a housing bill because he wants Senate Republicans to pass the Save America Act. They recognize it is rife with problems. It is not popular.
So how does he act because he doesn't get his way? He refuses to sign the Housing Act. He refuses to sign the Road to Housing Act until his bill, his Save America Act. Because this is what number one thing that cult members always do, and they always impress upon the people, is they have to push away. I've been saying this on my last lives, us versus them mentality. And he sends his goofy Mike Johnson out to speak. And they lie. Okay, but let's continue. We're almost done.
With the American people, the Postmaster General is on the Hill today and is going to have to answer questions about the administration's using USPS in order to tinker with American elections. They won't back off of this.
Using a federal agency essentially to override the Constitution, to pick up a point that Lisa made, which is that states run elections. The federal government doesn't. The Constitution didn't give the president and the executive branch any special prominence over elections.
The Constitution didn't give the president or the POUTS, not POTUS, but the POUTS, any special privileges, any special power.
And I think Trump is trying to seed the water here, not only to interfere with voter turnout on Election Day, which is why all these machinations are happening around direct mail and other issues pertaining to the midterms. It's that he wants to create the idea that there's malfeasance, that there are illegal acts going on, because the federal government is allowed to insert itself in state.
He wants to be able to impress upon you, what did I just say? That there's this, all of this illegal activity. Mind you, he is the illegal activity. This Republican Party is the illegal activity. They are the malfeasance.
Processes if there's evidence of malfeasance. And some of that historically has come out of the civil rights movement when the federal government got involved with protecting Black voters in the South to make sure that their ability to vote was protected. That's a very positive side of federal intervention. The negative side is if you have someone in the Oval Office who is a tyrant and wants to overturn the law.
Someone in the office that's a who? Let me run that back.
side of federal intervention. The negative side is if you have someone in the Oval Office who is a tyrant and wants to overturn the law and can invoke malfeasance as a way to get into different states during the midterms where he wants to meddle with the vote.
I mean, it would help explain why you don't want to pass legislation that would actually be popular in November.
Totally.
So in his way, because he can't get his way, because in his mind, and I'm gonna play something else for you. And this is this group of MAGA losers, because that's all y'all are, a group of losers. You're a group of flunkies. You're a group of whatever you say done, whatever you say. I'm gonna play you something else. This is so ridiculous. Let me find it. This is so ridiculous by MAGA, and this is talking about the reflection pool. And I want you to hear how these grown males just lie. Now this is Troy Nails. Now listen to him as he's talking, and this comes from TMZ.
Even for your messiest meals.
1 second, we have to get this out of the way.
Out-of-state license fees, gas money,
Blah blah blah.
place to stay. I've spent too much money to.
I want you to listen to this. Now, 1 second. And that's what it is. Like, instead of them just understanding. Let's see. 1 second. Now listen to this foolishness.
Oh, the reflecting pool, of course.
Yes, look, I hope they go to prison. They should go to prison. Those that I mean, using knives and stuff.
Did they?
What do you want to talk about?
Oh,
Now this is Troy Nails talking about the reflecting pool. Now, and listen to his level of intellect. Listen to his lies. Listen to his logic, his illogical logic. Listen to this.
pool, of course.
Yes, look, I hope they go to prison. They should go to prison. Those that I mean, using knives and stuff.
But did they?
That's horrible.
Where's the evidence, sir?
What they did, why are they, anything Trump tries to do to try to beautify this amazing city of Washington, D.C., the far left Trump derangement syndrome, nut jobs are out there.
Now notice he talks about Trump derangement syndrome. And what have I been telling y'all on my lives? Everything that these people say, we have to put it in reverse. Because they're actually the ones that suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. But let's continue. Listen to him.
Trying to destroy it. And I hope they go to prison. I think they've arrested several of them, but I think they should go to prison.
Look, I've been down there for many days, and I didn't see anyone.
The water was too deep and they were short, if you know what I mean.
Oh, okay. I do know what you mean.
You don't do that. You don't do that.
Agreed.
He spent taxpayer money on that to fix that, make it so beautiful. Trump loves everything. He loves America. Everybody's beautiful. He loves everybody. And they do that. Shameful.
That's why people are upset, because taxpayers did spend their money on it. And as far as we know, it was just a shoddy job, maybe.
No. Well, Trump doesn't ever do anything.
Is that right?
Everything he does is perfect. It's perfect.
Ah.
And they went in there.
He says everything Trump does is perfect. Now, these are the type of people that he keeps around him.
They use knives and cut it, and they destroy it. Shame on them.
So who should foot the bill for the repairs?
I would take their homes. If they have a home, if they have a car, hell, if they have a dog, I'd make them sell everything and fix it.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So do you think if the whole thing wasn't a waste of money, that it should have been beautified and
Trump turned it into a beautiful thing, and it was so beautiful. It irritated the Trump derangement syndrome nut jobs out there, and they tried to just.
Notice he just keeps repeating that it irritated the Trump derangement syndrome nut jobs. No proof of anything that they say.
It's like Trump, what he's building in this country. There are people that will just intentionally go and try to destroy it because Trump's name is on it. They don't like it.
Even the
They just
algae?
don't like
Is
it.
the algae anti-Trump?
All of it, anti-Trump. You see these little guys walking around looking like
He said the algae is anti-Trump.
little turtles and pieces of algae. I mean, they're crazy. Remember I said the other day, they need to get therapy. They need to see counseling. Now, we should put some money aside for those people.
Is that right?
And help them with the counseling and the therapy because they need it. They're crazy. They're absolutely
So
nuts.
why do you think this reflecting pool thing has become such a big national story?
Because the Democrats like to talk about it, about the, what, 15 million to fix it? It needed to be fixed. Trump fixed it to make it so beautiful. I mean, reflection, beautiful.
But there's a huge
It's
slash
all
in it,
a
mate.
monument, and then somebody went in, and I got some people I'm taking a tour with here. So my point is this: shame on those dirty, rotten scoundrels, and I hope they go to prison. And we should take everything from them and pay to fix it. That's what we should.
Okay then. Hey, appreciate you, man.
What do you want to talk about?
Insane. Insane. This is the insane, illogical logic of MAGA. That Troy Nails says that whoever vandalized the pool, he said they should take their homes, but he said they should take their dogs. This by the way, this came from TMZ. And when you look it up, you see he's walking as the reporter is asking him these questions. And you can see his deranged state as number one, he's over talking the reporter when the reporter is saying, "Where's the evidence?" Notice that they want you to be able to prove or give evidence that you are a legal resident, but he can tell you about all these fake attempts. He can tell you about voter fraud. He can tell you about an alleged rigged election against him. No proof. It's just what he says. It's just the fact that he says it. And it was even like when that female reporter was interviewing him. And he's going on and on and on and on about election fraud, blah, blah, blah. And she said, "Where is the proof?" He said, "All I have to do is look at it." And this is where the ignorant MAGA comes in, because whatever he says is law to them. Right? So this is how you know we are in a dictatorship. This is a tyrant, because whenever someone doesn't agree and isn't like that yo-yo that I just got through playing and tell him everything he does is right. Notice he said everything Trump does is perfect. This is the type of people he have in his cabinet. They are DEI. Because they're only in those positions because of the color of their skin. Linda McMahon has no real experience. Sure, she's probably had a year or two. But Linda McMahon, she has more experience with taking choke slams and power drivers from Kane than she does understanding education. So why is Linda McMahon being given a position like that? Right? And somebody said Trump was a Democrat before a Republican. Why the switch to Republican, you think? Right? What policy? Somebody said, "You don't follow policies, do you?" What's your favorite Trump policy? Let me see if you follow policies. What's your favorite Trump policy? Besides the quote unquote immigration, which is not a policy. Right? See, these are the same losers. The same losers are in my comments. They have the same mindset as Troy Nails. The same mindset as Mike Johnson, who's spineless and never has any real backbone. Because Trump doesn't like anybody with backbone. He's already said, and I talk about this all the time. He says, "I like people that like to listen to my success." I don't want to hear about other people's success because he's an extreme, jealous dude. How, by the way, how did that rally that they were supposed to have today turn out, I wonder? Right? So instead of him signing the Road to Housing Act, he refuses and pouts like the baby he is and says, I'm not doing anything until my Save America Act is being passed. And that's how you know you're in a dictatorship. Because the moment you don't do something, he hijacks everything. He wants to withhold funding because he only cares about himself and his family. But you goofy MAGAs won't understand that because you are in love with the mirage of what America is, the mirage or the fallacy of American success or freedom. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they have elected an 80-year-old toddler. An 80-year-old toddler, right? But they're so goofy in my comments. They still same thing. I told you, y'all come to my comments every day and do the same thing. Make the same stupid remarks. Nothing is in that red bag for you either. He doesn't care if you can afford health care. He cares about his rich buddies. But you guys are so caught up in the hypnosis. You guys are following those swollen ankles so much that you don't even understand that. You have no right to say that after President Joe Biden was in office this last time. Have no right to say what? Look, President Obama, I told you, they can't help it. Neither did President Obama. I tell you one thing y'all can't say about President Obama. He never had trouble staying awake. If he went to a Duke basketball game, he could stay awake for it. If he was to go to a New York Knicks game, he could stay awake. But not Dozy Dunny. Because that's what y'all do. Instead of y'all understanding that this is something against all of you, you think that you're special because you're a part of the cult. Nothing. He has made zero great about America. The moment he could have done one thing that remotely looks sane, nope, he won't do it because they won't pass his bill. Because that's his mindset. Pout and fold my arms, and however I can hurt people and make them suffer until they give me my way. That's him. That's your guy. That's your guy. I ain't saying nothing about Joe Biden. I said President Obama. I ain't saying nothing about Sleepy Joe. Funny how he gave Joe Biden the name Sleepy Joe, but he falls asleep even more than Joe Biden. And you would think these numbnuts in my comments understand. And I've already told y'all my suspicion on why he falls asleep so much. Because number one, he stays up tallywhacker watching all night. Go watch him how he lust over Arnold Palmer. He can't help but to talk about how much Arnold Palmer is a man to him. Talking about Arnold Palmer's manhood. That sounds a little Dunny. If he's not up tallywhacker watching, He's up tweeting like a moron all night. These things aren't sane, people. These things aren't healthy. It's not normal. But this is how they're shifting the reality. And because smart people don't like him, you guys see nothing wrong with it. You know it. You know he sets up, right? So I just wanted to come to y'all and let y'all know that he cares nothing about affordability, people. Why? Because him and his rich friends can afford things. He can afford gas. He can afford food. As he sells you, you're going to have to suffer and make sacrifices. He sells you this foolishness and you buy it and say, we have to make the sacrifices for America. You are the sacrifice to America. Thank you very much. GYGGGGGGGGGFFGGH says, even though we do not agree on our political views, I would still like and subscribe to your channel to support your freedom of speech and freedom of religion, sir. Okay, cool. Because that's what we have to understand. I have the same freedom of speech that you do. But just know that there's consequences with that said freedom of speech, right? Because isn't that the American way, or do we have to be in a cult that we all agree in Nazi Ramba? Or talk about make America great again, right? So I just wanted to come. I'm not going to be long on this one. I just wanted to come to let you all know that there is no such thing as him caring for Americans. He's told you so many times. I would. He said, "Okay, that's your name. Okay, cool. And if you like freedom of speech, this is the place. My comments are welcome, even to the ones that I don't agree with, even to the ones that I don't welcome. I wouldn't welcome them personally, but as long as you keep it respectful, comment. Because we have to understand that if you are in North America, if you are a quote unquote American, it's infringing upon you too, right? But don't be like Troy Nails. I'm gonna say that to y'all. Just delusional. And one of my final points. MAGA are the real ones that have and suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. See, that's the thing, the power to define. Because they're allowed to say Trump derangement syndrome. And this is why I say repetition is the mother of learning. Because the more they repeat something, the more people pick it up. And it starts to be a word or it starts to be a thing. No real proof behind it. One thing Donald Trump is, and I will give him credit for this, he is a master manipulator. He is a very charismatic, I don't want to say leader, but he's a charismatic guy. I don't block unless people are just ridiculous. Absolutely. Somebody said both political parties are bad. And that's when you really understand freedom. That's when you really understand choice. in my opinion. Whose opinion? You understand choice when you don't have to align with one side. See, the funny thing is when I'm up here saying this, and the first thing that bootlicking Trump followers will say is, well, how's the Democrat Party treating you? Well, you Democrats care less about Democrats because they're both battling for both ways to control the people. Tomato, tomato. Democrat, Republican. You know what I always liken this to? WWE. And I grew up a huge WCW and WWE fan. And I remember being a little kid watching Nikita Koloff, who I hated. I hated Nikita Koloff because at the time he would beat my favorite wrestler, which was Sting, as a little boy growing up. And I remember when Clash of the Champions used to be on TV, and I would be really upset at Nikita Koloff because I thought Nikita Koloff was really a bad guy to Sting. Until I found out that it was all just a part of the show. They don't really hate each other, they're actually friends. They're just playing the face and the heel card. And that's what we're watching, which is why they pull Leather McMahon in, which is why you'll see Triple H. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Vince McMahon get a spot up in there because it's all part of the show. Right? Somebody said, okay. You are so smart and I love your IQ. You have such a high IQ. Thank you. See how I read your comment? Oh boy. Shut up. You don't like either. You don't. You have a problem with me, but you're in my thing. So because I don't like, see, here's the dumb logic again. Back to the guy that was commenting, GG. He said his name was Gary. See what I'm saying, Gary? The stupid person that's in there and said, you don't like either party, but Trump is your topic. So they don't understand free speech, but they want the right to have free speech. Again, that's what he just missed the point. I said the point of freedom is when you don't have to align yourself with the choice is yours, no matter which way you go. But he says you don't like either party, but Trump is your topic. Trump don't like Joe Biden or Obama, but he can't stop talking about them. Fool was signing a guitar. This is how you know Trump has Biden derangement syndrome. He was signing a guitar, and he said, paraphrasing, oh, that's a pretty nice signature. And as you know, he on cue, he got bootlickers around him agreeing with him. He says, I don't think Joe Biden could sign something like that. So because I like or dislike something, that means I don't have the right to speak on it? Shut up. Shut up. Anyway, he says, I stopped watching wrestling when it went from WWF to WWE. Yeah, because I think that's when it more so became like commercialized, right? And I grew up a huge fan, but this is what we're watching. We're watching political wrestling, right? 1 minute JD Vance could feel one way, the next minute he'll feel another way. The thing that always gets me about politics is that they want you to believe that they're fair people and run on integrity and honesty and whatnot, right? But the moment it's election time, right? Like right now, they're going for governors and other positions. So when you see these commercials on your TV, notice they're always throwing it's a mudslinging contest, and they're telling you each side's dirty part or their dirt. But they want you to believe that these are honest, sincere people, right? But anyway, I think let me see what he's saying. See, I pick the people out that makes the most sense and have conversations with them. I think we should all just vote. Brandon Supreme. Get the crazy train wreck in full effect. Absolutely. About TV. It's called program for a reason. Exactly. Notice that's what I always would say in some of my other lives. I would say, notice how they say sit calm. So you're supposed to sit calm and receive and watch this program. Right? That's why I said yesterday that images are advertisements for the mind. And they always have to give you some type of advertisement or some type of something to buy. And in this case, we're talking about political advertisement or a political Yahoo and Donald Trump and his cabinet. That proves zero. He can't prove nothing. Instead of him saying this was just a whack job by him for the reflection pool, he got to blame somebody else. He has to blame somebody else. Let me see if I have that clip. One more clip before I get out of here. And I found this one to be fascinating. And somewhat truth-telling, because how I always know is that when they're telling you the truth, they're lying to you. And when they're lying to you, they're telling you the truth. Let me see if I find this. I think this one is it right here. Yep.
Parallel universe that I just wake up in. You're telling me, even if what freaking parallel universe that I just wake up in? You're telling me, even if it proves to be true, that damaging a lining in the reflecting pool is something that Puro wants to prosecute to the full extent of the law, if it's proven true. And yet they're releasing people who pled guilty to assaulting a police officer. What freaking parallel universe did I just wake up in? You're telling me, even if it proves to be true, that damaging a lining in the reflecting pool is something that Puro wants to prosecute to the full extent of the law, if it's proven true. And yet they're releasing people who pled guilty to assaulting a police officer. What freaking parallel universe did I just wake up in?
And that was Senator Tom Tillis, right? What parallel universe did I wake up in when they want to imprison? And notice that Yahoo that I played before, talking about how they want to imprison people for quote unquote vandalizing the reflection pool. But you release people who assaulted police officers. How, Sway? How? Because you can't make it make sense. Because they just make it up as they go. Right? Somebody said, all full of it. Lies are the new truth. Definitely, absolutely. Terrible times. terrible times. Absolutely. Especially now. Especially. It's always been that way, but in my opinion, whose opinion? In my opinion, it's really heightened with right now in this political climate. That lies are the new truth. That just it's what I can repeat over and over, and now it's true. Somebody said, which president was it that said the scariest words you will ever hear is I'm from the government and I'm here to help. or or I'm gonna bring peace and make America great again. That one is for me. That was for me, Gary. I'm here. I'm a president of peace. And notice he's done nothing peaceful since he's been there. The only peaceful time is when he's randomly falling asleep, Gary. But yeah, I just wanted to come in and bring that, and this is one of my things that I call meanwhile in MAGA news. But yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone that comes in, even the others. But appreciate it. I'll be back later.